All right, had fun this summer with Simon here, but it's almost time to start putting him away. Probably should say that quietly. We do have one more event. We got Eurofest. I think we're up to number 18 coming up here October 5th. We will be taking him out there and trying to set some personal bests. I probably won't do any racing, probably just do some fun runs. But yeah, soon after that, it'll be time to get back to Hubert here. He's got the halo going around. He's been sitting here like a good boy all summer long. I tried to get on him, but Simon took up most of my time this summer. Yep, with the transmission issues, taking them in, taking them out, I think I counted 6 times. That's 5. 6 times. But it's time to get back on Hubert here, and the one thing I want to get wrapped up here before the snow flies is have this at least a long block here all together. So that's where we're at today. Probably break this up in a couple of videos, maybe, depending on how long they wind up being. But I got to look and see if the heads fit. I haven't tried to fit the heads yet. If you guys remember, we are running CB Performance CNC heads here. I believe they were the Street Pros. We got some A&A cylinders with some Mila pistons here. And then some other Empi greatness. But in order to do that, I think where I left off here, I was just trial fitting the crank and the cam. That means I'm going to have to split the case back apart again and install some lifters so we can get some rocker arm geometry and possibly dial in a cam. I know I've had some people inquire about that. I got to remember how to do it myself, but yeah, I did put a straight cut cam gear in here. Usually come with 3 different sets of washers. I only had the 1 set of washers, and I just kind of bolted together just to make sure everything would fit, and I have to see where that is at. So that'll possibly be one video in itself. But right now we're just going to take us back apart, then put it all together from head to head. And then once that's done, then we can start playing with some rocker arms and push rod length. Let's get on it. So yeah, this engine short block's been underneath this cover for a long time, so let's take this off and see what we got. So voila, this is Hubert's power plant, part of it anyways. Got some chromoly I-beam rods. I believe they're 5.5, a 76 millimeter crank, stock AE case, I believe. No, it looks like a B case. Where I've had 10 millimeter case savers installed, and I'm not seeing any lifters, so I was right. We got to put some lifters in. I am trying a different set of lifters here. I've never ran these, but my machinist and parts guy says he's had good luck with these. These are the Parkerized ones, I believe. Yep, they say Parkerized on them. Generally, I usually like to just run stock lifters. I think I did trial fit these in with the cam, but we'll double check that. But yeah, they look pretty good. But generally, I usually just use stock ones and have them reground and Parkerized. I've got a box to send out. Person I used to send them out to is no longer in business, so I'm going to try a new guy, Shag, SL Shag. Oh, I got to remember. I'm going to have to look that up. I think it's Shag 2 or Shag 1 Racing. We'll see what kind of type of a job he does. Unfortunately, he's not grinding cams yet. Yeah, I know Shag's got some turbo cams I wouldn't mind trying out for my own car, Simon here, but I got to run a personal best with this setup. I think I've got more in it. I haven't really given it all its beans yet. But yeah, we're not talking about them. We're talking about this. So, okay, I got the case split in half. And I'm going to install the lifters. What I'm going to use here is some Driven Assembly grease. The Driven Racing Oils has Assembly grease, and they have an Assembly oil, and I see they just released an Assembly gel. So they have everything you may possibly need. Generally, your cam manufacturer will provide the lube that they prefer. But since I'm running a used camshaft, I do not have one of those. I'm kind of happy that Driven's came out with this grease. Now don't worry, I know I'm taking these right out of the bag and assembling them, but I will give these a wash before I do a final assembly. We are just doing trial fitting phase right now. And these should be clean since they're already in a vacuum sealed bag. But I'm going to get to work here and then I'll get back with you when I get everything all ready. Okay, I've installed the lifters and I did grease them, and you know they're not falling out of there. But for extra precaution, I am going to use the lifter tools. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but they're really inexpensive, and you know they do come in handy. Kind of clip into your lifters here and keep them from falling out. I mean, it's not 100%, but it's better than nothing. Now the troublesome thing of getting the case on here without the rods falling down and retorquing it. Kind of like that. Okay, already ran into problems. You know, the pleasures of putting these big engines together. There's always something that needs to be modified, cleared, or fitted. With this case, we went with 10mm head studs, and I believe, if my memory serves me right, it's because it already had 10mm case savers in it. And there's a good opportunity that in the future this will be a boosted engine with some type of a power adder, more likely turbo. So we went with the bigger head studs, and with that came clearancing issues with the cylinders themselves. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Kind of see up here where it's shiny, and down here where it's shiny. I had to open those up a little bit. Mainly up here on this part. The reason for that was with these head studs here, if they hit that cylinder, they want to spread out. So when they spread out, they won't fit the holes in the heads. And the holes in the heads are these. That's where they go through. So with that, we are slowed down and stopped because I've got 2 more cylinders to open up. All right, done. The head fits on here nicely. And the next thing I'm going to do is label this head as cylinder 1 and 2, given its home. That's where it's probably always going to stay, as long as I can always read the paint. And while I'm addressing this, the other thing that we're going to have to look at are the head studs and see how far they protrude through the cylinder head here. I can go down about another 1/4 inch with these, and I know right now they look like there's nothing in the way, but sometimes when you put the rocker shafts on here, the rocker arm, especially like number 2 here, or this would be the intake for number 1, will actually rub on it. You got to make sure that that's not going to happen. It's possible I'll have to shim them up, possibly for you know, valve geometry. I don't normally like to do that if I don't have to, but yeah, we'll see. And then the other area, these are never a problem. They can usually be as long as they want, as long as you got threads down. This will come up a little bit because I do not have the shims underneath the cylinders yet. But these 2 are the other ones. You can see this head here has got the nice big mounting surface on here. You know, the big beefy manifolds will fit on here, and they will hit this. I'll either have to clearance these down, which I got plenty of room to cut these down, and I probably will. I'm just about out of room of tightening them all the way down. Looks like I got 1/8 of an inch down there, and 1/8 of an inch might do me. I'll have to see if I can get those to come down a little bit more. And once I get those happy, what I'll probably do is measure them all and write down the measurements in the book I have over here, because I got to take them back out to clean and paint this case. And yeah, Emily's got a pretty color she wants this. And leave down in the comments what color you think Emily wants her case to be. All right, since I've got to oil these cylinders back up, you know, I had to wipe them out because, of course, I was grinding on them, try to get all the sheet metal or little shavings out of there. I got to put the pistons back in so I can continue this trial fit and possibly do rocker arm geometry. But I'm going to use the Driven oil here, assembly lube. Before I used to just use my little contraption of, I don't know, some STP and some other assembly lube I've had, but I'm going to try theirs this time and see how it is. Yeah, I'm liking this stuff. It spreads really thin and it seems to be nice and sticky. I like to usually get a good coat of oil in these, especially with this engine, because I don't know when we're going to fire it up. It may be a year from now. It could be 2. So yeah, I like to have the cylinders nice and oiled, and this is going on nice and smooth. It spreads really nicely. Okay, long block is assembled for a trial fitting. And I've unpackaged the rocker arms from Empi. Let's take a closer look at them. These are the 1:4:1 ratio rocker arms. And here's the part number and the description. They come fully assembled with lock nuts. I'm assuming these are probably a chromoly stud and lash caps. Now here's the tricky part. I don't know if I'm going to actually use these studs or the ones that came with the heads. I've heard people having good luck with the ones that come on the CB heads, so I'll probably just retain those. We'll see how they fit. These rocker arms may have to have those. It all depends on what the shoulder looks like. And then I'll show you with these, probably why I'm not going to run these. Let me get this rolled over. Take a good look at these beautiful heads. 650 V-dub springs, dual springs, big old intake valves. Can't tell because can't see inside the head right now because it's on the engine. But look at this. These things fit loose. Literally sneeze and they'll fall off. I mean, technically, if you don't float the valves, you're not going to have a problem. But you never know when you might accidentally have that misshift, or you decide that you want to burn some rubber, look cool, and over rev the engine. And I have actually had these things come off. And then what happens is a lot of times they'll wind up going down your push rod tubes, down into your oil pan, and get picked up by your oil pump. If you're running a screen on your pickup tube, you'll probably be all right. You just have to fish these out. But I'll probably give OCB Performance a call and order theirs. Theirs will actually fit tight on their valves. Shouldn't have a problem with them falling off. There is nothing wrong with running these lash caps here. A lot of people have run them, and I've run them too. And I think there's only one time that I've actually thrown one. But with that said, the CB Performance ones are more secure, and I think Gene Bird also has them if they're in stock, where they fit nice and snug and on the valve stem. Okay, I got the rocker arm here, trial fitted. Things you got to look for is side play. I'm pretty impressed. There's just a little bit. I got to get a feeler gauge out. I like to have a little bit of space in there. I'm gonna say that was probably well over 5 thousandths. That was well over 5 thousandths. If you get too much end play, the valve train is noisy. I mean, they're already noisy enough. Another thing you got to look for, rocker arm over here, is this one is stuck, and I don't think that this rocker stud is actually seated all the way down. I'm going to have to see if I can get a feeler gauge underneath those too. I tried both studs here. I probably should have put one in. One's the Empi and one's the one that came with the CB heads. I probably should have put one in, and just to show you the difference. I like how tall these are. There's enough room to actually put a washer underneath these nuts. This one was not that way. I mean, yes, you can set these in there, screw them in as far as you want, Loctite them in, and leave them up a little higher. But I was noticing that there is actually more threads on the top of these Empi ones too. So we may possibly run those. Just a little note there, make sure that your exhaust studs and your rocker studs are Loctited. I haven't Loctited anything yet. That'll be final assembly after I get these all figured out what I want. But I'm going to take this off and show you what this is hitting on. I'll show you what we got going on here. I've already kind of chamfered this a little bit, or put an edge on it. I did a little bit on this one. When I first put the rocker arms in there, I did notice that was hitting when I tried the CB studs. And at that time, there was a little witness mark. I just took my die grinder here, the carbide bit, and just lightly shave that down just a little bit. Now, if I was going to run shims underneath there, probably would have been fine. But I don't know if I'll be running shims or not. Usually I try to set these up without running any if I don't have to. But I'm going to have to grind on this one a little bit, which means I'm going to have to take the studs back out. And I would like to point out here that these are head stud nuts for 8mm head studs. Yeah, they are 8mm by 125 in the center, and the outside actually uses a 15mm wrench. I like to have a little more push down force on the rocker arms versus the 8mm stud. I mean, factory was fine with 8mm studs, but factory wasn't running dual valve springs or high ratio rockers. Give you a size comparison here. That's the difference. A little more hold down power. All right, yeah, I've actually run those head studs like that on Simon here and haven't had a problem. But we're moving back on here. I remounted this after doing a little grinding. And just kind of wanted to show you. I actually put the CB studs in, and you can see that they are actually shorter. But I'm going to say that the rocker arms actually fit a little more flusher because we do have a little bit of stickage with this one. You notice all these go up down to the nut. This one's not, and I can feel it stick a little bit. This one goes down to the nut, and this one still, even after grinding, it still doesn't move a little bit. But what I'm doing is getting a witness mark on there so I know where to grind. And we'll see if we can do this with this one too. All right, I'm going to show you guys what I mean by a witness mark. See that little shiny spot there? That's where the rocker arm is rubbing. And you can already see how much I've kind of taken off there. And this one's just got a teeny tiny one, so a little more grinding on that one. Probably should measure a stock head and see, if they have such a big block on, CB Performance. They remolded these or had these heads all remolded so they actually have more material in certain areas, and I bet you these blocks are one of them. Got it on. Like I said, I don't know if I point this out or not, but I've got the big nuts on with the CB studs, and they actually have it on there nice and good. Don't have washers underneath there, so probably have to roll them out a thread or so if I decided to want to run with washers. But yep, everything is moving freely, and I got some in play here. This one is kind of tight. I got some in play here, and this one is kind of tight. But we're going to see how tight they are with the feeler gauges. And they roll back and forth really good. Can I get a feeler gauge down in there? And so we are going to throw this 3/1000. Yep, 3/1000 fits in there. Well, a 5. And a 5 actually slides in that one. So that was actually nice and good. It's probably where they all should be. And this one, start out with the 3. Having trouble getting the 3 in there. I don't like that. To me, that's going to be too tight. So we may have to take this apart and see what these shims are. Looking with the eye, they all look to be the same. And I'm going to have to look through my stash up there and see what I do have. Maybe I can tighten a couple of these up, and maybe not. Is it necessary? Who knows? It's just going to give it a little extra noise. I personally like the extra oiling room, but we're going to need some oiling room on that last one over there, so to see what we have here. And then it'll give me a chance to Loctite these end bolts here to keep the caps on after I take it apart. Okay, success. Let me show you. What I wound up doing is taking one of the thicker shims from this side and relocated it with the no, I did that backwards. What I did was take one of the thinner shims from this side and replace the thicker shim on this side with it. And I do now have 3/1000 in play in there. I can put that feeler gauge in there. I didn't try the 5. 5 will go in there. That is nice. Same here. Same there. It goes in there tightly. And the other 2 are relatively, probably a little too loose maybe. I'm not going to worry about it. It's that oiling room. Another thing some of the guys will do, I'm probably not going to worry too much about it because you can go batty trying to make sure that these are kind of like in the stock location. They like to have the rocker arms kind of set off center. This one kind of does because the center, you can see the top rib of the rocker arm is off center with the pad. This one's probably almost center, maybe a little off. But there's not really that whole lot of room in there. You know, I could probably put this shim over there, then not have a shim on one side. But like I said, you can go bad. But that's something you can do. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. In this case, I think I'm going to leave them right where they're at and see what happens. But yeah, on to the other side. But I won't bore you with that. I think I'll leave this video off with right here, and then we'll move along to the other video where I actually set the push rod length. You see I don't have any push rod tubes on at this particular point. They're not necessary, and I will need the workspace for working with the adjustable push rod, but we'll do that in a later video. So until next time, keep cruising, keep shifting those gears, and always enjoy the ride. I'm gonna get back on this and get the other side done. Take care.
Before I was just another guy